Here we are again on another episode of Rethink Real Estate. And today, as he likes to be known, Owen Video. Now, you'll know why once you dive into the episode a little bit further, but Owen runs a marketing company that helps agents and many other industries with their video content and building businesses on YouTube. Now, I know that this is all the craze and we've done a few videos in the past on this stuff, but we really dig a little bit deeper into the different processes that you have in order to go through the structural elements of building this out. We talk about also about people's all-in nature of this and how that can harm the business. I think that's a very clear point that I want to make here, is that whilst I think that video is incredibly beneficial to create inbound business, we've got to make sure that we don't go all in and forget the other avenues of our business on that journey. So either way is that Owen goes through not only his personal experiences and his vast credentials in the YouTube space and the great deal of success stories that he's created for agents all over the country, and not to mention as well is some of his own personal challenges that he's gone through as well. Surviving cancer a couple of times, and certainly an inspirational guy, great energy. You'll have to forgive his voice, it's a little bit husky. He hosted a big YouTube conference just the day before we filmed this episode, but hope you enjoy, hope you get a fair few tips out of it. Welcome to Rethink Real Estate. My name is Ben Brady, and this is a real estate podcast aimed to deliver sales strategies, marketing tips, and business insights from industry experts and myself to build a listing-focused business for the future. Let's get into it. Owen Video, welcome to Rethink Real Estate.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. You know, video is my first passion. YouTube specifically, and real estate is my second passion. So it's exciting to be able to blend them both on this podcast.
That's a really good mix. Absolutely. So again, we appreciate you being here because I'm really excited to have the conversation with you today, because video is certainly something that intimidates a great many people. But when it's done and harnessed correctly and you have a blueprint in order to actually put an infrastructure in place, I've seen it, and I can see that it ultimately is a incredible gateway for a business, let alone real estate. So, so I want to go back, and I just sort of want to rewind, and I want to get people sort of a little more acquainted with you, Owen. So give us the elevator pitch. What's happened in your life? What's brought you to this point, and what got you started into the field that you're in?
Well, I'll tell you, it started when I was a kid, and my dad came home with two big gifts for Christmas when I was a kid, and it was a Nintendo, and it was a video camera, kind of one of these big shoulder mount video cameras. And I was in love, man. I was playing with my dad's video camera, for years. And then I bought my own. I went through high school, and I was kind of into video. But that's when I started to get rather entrepreneurial and kind of started helping companies build their businesses. And I was in sales and really got this entrepreneurial bug. And so in 2008, I had left my job at a radio station where I was crushing sales for this radio station. And I'm like, I should be doing this for myself, like, why am I giving all these guys all my goods, my best years of my life, right? And so that's when I took my plant, and I walked out, and I may have been escorted out. The jury is still out, okay? There's no proof of anything. But I go, I'm going to give this YouTube thing a shot, right? And so that's what I started to do. I started to knock on the doors of business people, of businesses all over. Like at this time, I was in San Diego County, right? So right above Orange County, where I worked at the radio station. I was born and raised in LA, like my whole life. That's where I'm from. And I began saying, hey, I'll make you a video for this new YouTube platform right now, today, and I'll do it for $20. And that's what I did. $20, $20, $20, $20. And pretty soon I was, hiring kids that I went to college with to do the editing for me. And then eventually we hired overseas editors. And so this game of YouTube is, and specifically YouTube for business professionals. My clients today are typically 7- and 8-figure companies. And we help them launch YouTube channels that not only get views and make you a little famous, right? And that's part of what we want. You kind of want to be well known. But two, they also drive people into a funnel where you're converting them and they're becoming clients for you. So we've been working with real estate agents. Ever since the beginning of time, this is all I've ever done professionally. I myself own properties and I have different investments out there along the way. So I love real estate, and I love coaching real estate professionals through YouTube. Right? We show you exactly that. It's a blueprint, right? Like the same thing that, I'm going to throw some names out here. Like Karen Carr is one of our most successful clients of all time. She's fantastic. She's well known for teaching real estate YouTubers. Like we coached her. We got her from 3,000 subs to 10,000 subs, and really built this huge brand behind her. And what she's doing is the same thing that every real estate agent needs to do, right? There's Guy Levi out in Dallas, Texas, runs an excellent channel, right? Like what he's doing is the same thing that Christina Smallhorn is doing, who's got maybe hundreds of thousands of subscribers now. Her real estate business is now like across the United States. Like we're all doing the same thing, and it's this blueprint. And when you follow that, like you're working less and you're getting more of an impact from the work you do. And I think that's important.
So I think that you've obviously helped a great deal of real estate professionals already in this space. And I want to go directly into the negative element of this, is that I see so many people start this, and then the lack of inconsistency is actually so apparent because it's in the public eye. Where are the big fail points? Give us the big fail points that if you're looking at this strategy, like I personally think that people that go all in the first degree of this and don't prospect any other way is probably one of the biggest challenges. But that said, is that give us the pitfalls that you see people go through.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. Is you kind of, as a real estate professional, you go to like one buzzword to the next, right? Like I'm gonna try YouTube, I'm gonna try Facebook ads, and I'm gonna try TikTok. And really, it's above that. You have to be above that, right? You are going to build your brand in a way that best represents your brand, right? And so what we're doing, we take a YouTube first approach, and this is key because your YouTube is your long form content. It's your most thoughtful content. This is brand building content. And then those YouTube videos are going to be, reduced down into micro clips, vertical shorts, that reels that you can put on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook. And this is what we call the video multiplier system, right? You make one great video that you put energy and effort into. And from that, you create mini clips that act as trailers, turning one video into potentially 5 or even 10 videos that are all being edited by an overseas editor who's working while you sleep. And the money that you're paying them, the $8 to $12 an hour that you're paying them, is actually putting bread on the table for them and their families. It's like this wonderful virtuous cycle. You've got to know how to put all that in. So number one is the mindset is that you're not trying to go big on YouTube. You are trying to go big in real estate. Right. And it's about time that people knew your name. It's about time that everybody in your city knew your name, not because you have a billboard, but because you've got a brand that you're building. And so we work with our clients on a YouTube strategy that's going to create that brand that you're trying to build. So that's number one. The second part of that is YouTube has to be done right. There's a blueprint, right? And what we do is we start to take all these little next thing you know, you're listening to a 17-year-old on YouTube telling you, a 45 plus year old professional, like how to grow a channel. Like, hey, I've been throwing buckets of paint off my, roof for years, and I'll show you how to build a YouTube channel. Like, look, you're not a green-haired, purple-haired YouTuber. You are a business professional. You don't have all these hours in the day. I bet so many people that are listening right now have kids. And I'll bet you your kids are like my kids. My kids are the light of my life. Like I schedule time with my kids before I schedule my business appointments, right? Like there's a whole reason I'm in business is to be a present father. You know what I mean? So you've got to work that into your schedule. You've got to have a video production schedule that doesn't eat your time. Nobody comes to Owen Video to work more, right? But to learn the systems and the streamlines that will turn one video into 10 videos, right? And get you in front of your camera maybe twice a month, right? Like, you've got to have, I'll land the planes. We could talk. I know I'm going a mile an hour, and it's okay. I just love this content. I love talking about this, but you've got to be in a place where video is in your calendar. So we talk about cadence or rhythm, right? You don't have to film every day. You don't have to film every week, right? But you have a content meeting at the beginning of every month to decide what 5 videos you're going to make this month. And then you meet 2 days in the month to film those videos, right? So now you're all of your marketing, all of your energy as a real estate agent is like making great videos. Your team right? These overseas VAs, your marketing part. Like I know a lot of real estate agents have nobody yet, but a lot of us have somebody to help us, right? The team is what automates and like supercharges that, so that you're not posting, you're just really making great videos and then answering the phone call when it rings.
That makes total sense. Is that it becomes this passive thing if you can
Yeah.
plan it correctly within your life. Like a lot of people ask me from a podcast perspective, we put 2 podcast episodes out a week and they're like, does this just consume your life? And it
Yeah.
doesn't. It does not if you actually have planned it out appropriately. And that, so the planning element from a level of
Yes.
cadence or rhythm is something that I think is definitely a takeaway. But talk to me about, like, I guess that the perfection element of a lot of people is that,
Oh,
like, they're going to see you and I with the background, with a good camera, with the right lighting, all of this element. They're going to think they need a studio to start this. Like, let's talk about just starting elements of just getting going.
yeah. I mean, that's a great question. I believe that this adherence to a certain production value is actually part of the boomer and Gen X generations, right? So this is a generational thing. The young, like the Gen Z and maybe half the millennials, like it's probably more like, and I consider myself, I'm like an older millennial, right? Is the rawness, the roughness, the out of pocketness of the video is actually what we want, right? It's only like this slightly older generation that's like used to having like a picture perfect commercial on TV, right? Where like what if you were to just pick up your phone and do a market update while you're in front of some type of neighborhood that's homeless people in a neighborhood,
Yeah.
right? A bad neighborhood. You pull out your phone and you're like, look, this is what's going on. People are being squeezed out of their homes. And here's the thing is you guys don't realize that even with high mortgage rates, your monthly payment on a mortgage would be very similar to where it would have been 5 years ago. The market fluctuates. All this 8%, 9% stuff, you're looking at the wrong numbers. Let me show you numbers. Let me get you into home. Let's clean up our neighborhoods. Let's, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. My voice is getting a little rambly because I host a YouTube conference every year, and we're just coming off that conference. But you see, like that's something that a prim and proper commercial can't do, right? You can't be on the spot as it is right now doing content, and that's I think a big point. The other part of that is that's not the reality of YouTube and social media. It's you've got to be in a place where you are okay with who you are. And if you step into an elevator, this is a big part of what we do with our clients because my partner, my head coach, Carlos, he comes from the real estate business. I actually recruited him out of Coldwell Banker. I was like, dude, come work for me, dude. Like
Yeah.
he's helping all these real estate agents. Like he's referring clients to me, just like right and left. And it's like, why don't you come work for me and refer clients to me? So he comes from this space and he really helps with the team and getting the videos out. I really help with like how to connect with your audience and how to come up with a video that people want to watch. Nobody wants to watch your listing video.
Yep.
Right. So you've got to come up with a way to show off your homes and like show off your lifestyle in a way that's entertaining. And that's authentic to you. Now, when I say entertaining, don't get afraid, meaning it's authentic to you. And maybe there's kids running around in the background. Maybe you're doing shots of your town. It could really be anything you want. And that's where the blueprint comes in. That's where it's like, follow these content models and you'll have the same success other real estate agents are having.
Yeah, no, that's a solid point because I want to get into volume of content now. I want to talk about, from a strategy perspective, is that, I know that we're talking about, doing, 2 major filming sessions a month or something along those lines.
Yeah.
These are just things that I've just heard you mentioned along the way. But let's say that you want to, because let's face it, the thing that you want is you want inbound business that's coming through your YouTube channel, but you also want subscribers because that is essentially a captive audience. So you want that subscriber number to go up. What are the 2 major things that we have to do in order to make sure that those subscriber numbers go up? We get inbound or call to action business, but then also how often do you need to be posting on the shorts and also the long format videos in order to actually have a steady cadence that you can be comfortable that it is building?
Look, who is this guy, Ben Brady, and how does he know all the right questions to ask? You're asking some fantastic questions. And I really love your sign, and I love your auctions work thing, and I assume you're buying homes at auction and stuff like that. And I think that's a great example of what works on YouTube. In fact, we just signed a real estate company just 2 weeks ago, and here's what they do: is they find beat up old homes in bad neighborhoods, and typically the owner is like was gifted the home, or maybe inherited. Mom left me with this home, and it's like it's actually a burden to me. And it's I don't, all these. If I were to sell it, I have to buy a stove and like all these things, right? They come in, they and it's a wonderful niche business. Okay, so I want you guys to think about that, because like getting into being the gated home guy, right, or being like the luxury, and that's where I met Carlos, was in like luxury homes in Newport Coast, and we weren't even selling homes. We were leasing them out for 9 months out of the year to overseas travelers. It's really exciting real estate business. So even myself, like I really dove into like apartment syndication. That's how I had a home first, but then we got into apartment syndication, bought another home, and we've been like all these people I learned about apartment syndication from a client who found me on YouTube, right? And it's like, what is this? So it's all these different areas of real estate like are extremely valuable. They're more valuable than like being the Louisiana guy, right? Or like that's important. That's a piece of what you do. But let's go back to your question about quantity over quality. This is what I want to tell you right now is one good video. Okay, my last video on my I have a health and wellness channel that I build as a project. I'm a cancer survivor. All natural, holistic. Thank you so much. Got cancer free 2 years after diagnosis. They told me I was. It's a whole story. It's a whole thing. So I do those videos, and part of the reason I do those videos is to show my clients that I'm still on top of my game. Like I can start with nothing, and it's like you can get 50,000 views right off the bat, right? So you've got to create content that people like. They have to want to see it. Okay. So shorts are a great opportunity for you guys. Vertical shorts and finding a way to tell a story in 45 seconds. Okay. It's the story of a beautiful home. It's the story of this homeowner's first home. There's so many different templates. We teach these in our program, like do a before and after template, right? Like do a this is my day template, right? These are the kinds of things that get.
Do you like, and just while you're speaking about that, do you have hot buttons? Have you tested it in the real estate audience to say these are the videos that work best? Sorry,
guys. Yeah, I have real estate example after real estate example. Here's a great real estate example. Client works in Alabama, and Alabama specifically, she's on the Historical Society. Her name's Mary Harmon Young. You go look her up on YouTube, follow her on Instagram, right? Like, there's a lot of Civil War slave culture in this town. She's on the Historical Society, right? So she gets access to all these buildings that most people don't get access to. She also has knowledge that enables her to kind of like rant and rave about these things, right? Like she can speak for 45 seconds about this particular, historical site, the oldest tree or Underground Railroad, whatever. She can speak about that because that's part of who she is authentically.
Right.
So she comes to my channel and she goes, or, my program. And I said, do stuff on the culture of the town, right? History of the town. The very first video reel she does 13,000 views.
Right.
Now, up until then, it's like 162 views, like 312 views. Here's another example. I did a reels and shorts training for a real estate brokerage in Austin, Texas. So I had like 13 real estate agents on the call there with me right there. I'm doing this call and I'm showing them the reels formula, right? Like, you got to start with a hook. You've got to have a story to tell. You got to land the plane, right? So it's like this 3-step arc that anybody can learn. I'm showing them how to do this while I do it myself with my own camera. And I publish the video. I say, this is how you make a cover image. Like, this is what it should look like. Publish. I go, now, I don't know if this is going to be good or bad, guys. I just made it for you to check it out. I refresh the page a few minutes later, 14,000 views on this reel that I made with people watching, follow the exact same program. So Monica did a reel after that, 10,000 views. We've got all of these examples that short form is your fast track to success on YouTube. Okay. We've got examples of client generation. Here's the thing. It's rarely going to be the first short.
No.
That right. It's like you have to build up that equity in the customer's mind where it's like now they watch you once a week, they watch you twice a week. And I think 2 reels a week, I think is fine.
Right.
Okay. So reels, here's the thing. Reels and shorts is your fast track to success. So I would be very intentional about making time to learn that.
Yep.
And you don't have to dance and point. Like that's stupid. We've never done that.
So you're saying that even if you don't have a long format sort of gauge of things, so let's say that you run a YouTube, you run a podcast, you've got a couple of them, you've got, all of the content that you're creating on a regular basis. I've got a podcast which gives me a great deal of long format video that we can chop up.
Yeah.
Let's say that I'm a regular realtor, that I don't have a podcast or that long format element side of it. I should just be focusing on the short content and and pushing that out. Or
I think short content's an 80-20 strategy. Because here's the thing, like I go to these high impact workshops and masterminds and webinars. Like I hang around a lot of 7, 8, 9 figure types of people.
Yep.
Right. And there is sort of this like publish every day Gary V mentality.
Yeah.
This is not the reality on the streets. On the streets, I would rather see as a viewer 1 good short from you than 5 bad ones. So the idea is you're making good content and you're balancing that out with your time. I had a client today tell me, "Oh, I could do 50 of those." And it's like, yeah, but don't. Right? It's like, let's
please don't. Holy shit, don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I get that a lot. It's like, "Oh, I've got a great system," or "I've got a guy in the Philippines." And it's like, yeah, but let's let's really dial in on what works for shorts for you. Okay. And there's lots, like I said, there's lots of different templates, and templates change over time, right? So like the stuff that's working today hasn't always been working. Like,
of course.
Right. So you want to stay on top of that. And that's one part of what we do.
Yep.
So shorts allow you to pick up your mobile phone and get started. And here's the curveball is like nobody wants to hear about your listings. So what the heck do I talk about? Like that's content strategy. And maybe we'll get to that today. Let's talk about long form though, right? Like long form is where you're going to get a client the first day. So let's talk about live stream video, right? Let's talk about doing a monthly live stream, if not a weekly live stream. That establishes you as the marketplace leader, right? All of my clients do well with market update videos.
Right.
And I hate them. I really hate them. Like, but if you can connect a market update to a real need, like you heard me
like
kind
specifics or something like that, because you're 100% right.
Yes.
Somebody that sits there and just goes, "Oh, there's this many homes that sold. This is the average price," and that's just
Yes.
boring. But if you can go through specific situations, hey, let me give you 123 Smith Street. That property sat on the marketplace for 30 days.
Yes.
We did this and we did that and da 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 da.
Yes. And you title the video something like, why there are no more homes, or who's buying all the homes.
So this leads me to another question. I'm sorry to be jumping around, but I just want to make sure that I just sort of hit on this a little bit, because I've got to be honest, is that I do you think that there's such thing as searching fatigue? Because, at the moment I'm researching running a marathon. I want to get into a training plan. I go onto YouTube and I go marathon training plan. I click on marathon training plans on YouTube and the video is completely fucking different. And it just pisses me completely off. And I'm like, go away. No, thank you. And I don't really engage with them. So do we have to be conscious about that? How does the algorithm work from the titles and all that type of stuff?
So look, that's a great question. And I'll just tell you right now that SEO is not a brand building strategy on YouTube. SEO is the way we used to do it, but it's not a trend. And if you're walking in on like, oh, I built my business on SEO, like, I mean, maybe it's true, maybe it's not. Would you even know how to hold them accountable to that statement? And like, does it work today? Like I made a post on Facebook about, SEO is dead. Stop focusing on SEO. It's lazy. Nobody wants it, right? Like how to buy a home in Omaha.
I could just imagine the comments that you got from the people that are the lazy people, out there that are hoping that SEO works so that they don't have to do any work, and they have this inbound nature. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I mean, and look, here's the thing, right? Like, how to buy a home in Omaha gives me no reason to click today.
Yeah.
And what you say in your mind is you're like, yeah, but they'll search for it, meaning I'm not going to work on getting their click today. I'm going to get their click tomorrow. But I'm here to tell you, friend, you got to sell me right now. Like, there's no guarantee I'm even on YouTube tomorrow. So when you're doing like how to buy a home in Omaha, you've got to put a framework around that gets the viewer to click today. And that's the example of like, why Omaha homes are disappearing or Omaha homes disappearing, right? Corporate buying Omaha farms,
Yeah.
exclamation.
Yeah.
And it's like, now all of a sudden it's like, what's going on? Now, how do you apply that to the video? That's what we call your hook. Okay. Your hook is not just the first thing you say on camera. The first thing you say on camera reinforces your hook. Your hook is actually the psychological reason why a viewer wants to watch this video. So you take this idea of how to buy a home in Omaha, or like how to buy a home in Omaha. And what you're doing is you're putting a different costume on that. You're putting a different wrapping paper on that to appeal to a different need at the right time in the year cycle, right? Like, we're doing this interview in like the fall winter season. Like, we're coming on the traditional slow season of real estate. So A, this is a great time to be content planning and making videos. Two, or B, is in your videos appeal to that nature, right? Like, sell a home before Thanksgiving, question mark.
Yeah.
These are titles that give your videos a due date, right? Where the viewers got to watch them or they're too old. Same with the market updates, right?
I love that idea. Like I love that idea of putting a due date without actually putting a due date on it. Obviously, it's so true. This morning, right? I looked at, so I was going to continue with my audio book, but then I had my podcast list and there was this week's market update. I'm thinking, oh well, if I wait till next week, that's going to be too old, and I'm not going. I need to listen to that one.
Oh, okay. So let's just riff on that a little bit. Like, this is what I like to see with the live streams as well. It could be live pre-recorded, but it's like again, sell before Halloween, or sort of like Halloween's impact on home prices.
Yeah.
Right? Or trick-or-treating impacts home prices.
Or like 2023 holiday season. Real estate selling in holiday season.
To be more specific, like Q4 home values did what? What is in all caps? Now, this is what we do with our clients. Like, our clients come to us with ideas, and then we kind of like, all right, how do we title and thumbnail those ideas?
Right.
So that the audience wants to see it right now. And a big part of that is, again, going back to the SEO content, like this idea of evergreen, right? Like, no, I'm a holistic cancer survivor. I want my food to die. I want to eat food that will be dead. If the food doesn't die, aka fast food, box food, I don't prefer to eat it, right? So it's the same. Like, your video needs to be fresh and alive and real, and not made for some nebulous audience in the future sometime. Like, engage your people today and become a part of their lives.
That's a strong point, and that I think from anyone that's looking to do content needs to really embrace that if they're going to do it effectively and see some results. But where I'm going to, I've got a quick question about, you were giving examples before that you put a short up and you get 10,000 views on it, 13,000 views, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
How do you engage that they are the right views? Like, it's all good and well to go, hey, I've got 10,000 subscribers, but are they the right subscribers? Does it matter?
Subscribers don't matter. Look, I've got myself 65,000 subscribers, and I'm grateful for every single one of them. But keep in mind that, like, 10,000 of those came in my first 2 years.
Yep.
I've been on YouTube for a long time. Like, there is some longevity. I do meet people at conferences that are like, I've been following you for years.
Yep.
But I just can't believe that you've watched every video for 8 years. Your subscribers are an awesome sort of like
security
public
blanket.
Metric. What's that?
Security blanket to know that
I don't even think it's that. I think it's real-time feedback of how you performed in a given season.
Got it.
Like, you do a video, because look, most of your subscribers are going to come from 1 or 2 videos, but in order to find those videos, you have to keep publishing, right? So quantity, right? Like we recommend like 2 really good long form videos per month, and then as many reels as you can stomach, right? We have more of a strategy like where we actually lay out the numbers for you, like, but generally speaking is like 2 excellent videos and then a family of shorts and reels that are just inundating the web, right? So it's not a ton of content, but the more content you upload, like the more you'll learn, right? So as we're digging into this content part of things, we need to pay attention to what we're making and that it's something that the audience wants to see, right? Like you've got to be in this place where you're willing to put up a video that you spent time on. Like I say, never schlep a video up. Just like, oh, I made this thing real quick. Your audience is too valuable. Talking about subscribers, right? Like that one video could be the video that brings 10,000, 30,000 people to your channel right now today. You're telling me that out of 30,000, I call you up and I go, hey, I want to bring you out to the Dodger Stadium, to the football stadium. I'm going to have 30, 40, 50,000 people there. And I want you to talk about your real estate business for 5 minutes. And you're going to go, well, who's going to be in that audience? Are those even buyers? Yeah. Hell no. You're going to get up and you're going to do it. And if the buyers are wrong, like if it's not the right audience, you'll change in the next video. So the value of subscribers shows you how you're resonating right now. Right. I made a video. I got a ton of subscribers for it. Right now, those people like what I'm doing. Case in point, friends of mine, they're not in real estate, but perfect example. They do Disney fan stuff, Disneyland fan stuff. So you go to Disneyland. They did a video featuring Tom Holland from Spider-Man. He was at the park one day. They got 30,000 subscribers from it. None of those people tuned in. Again, they gave you a subscribe because you gave them a good video one time. It's a good thing for you to blow up. You should experience that. But you've got to have a family of videos where one family, we call these silos, okay? And I'm jumping to content strategy, but like you have silos, content themes, and your channel should have multiple silos. So one silo is I'm going to do 1 or 2 videos a year that are designed to get mega views, just bring in a ton of people. But monthly, I'm going to do these videos that are shorter and more tactical, right? That's a different silo. It's like, I'm going to do a silo on the housing market, right? So every month you're doing one video on the housing market, but you're going to do another silo. Maybe it's neighborhood versus neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's historical stuff in your town, right? Maybe you're a sports mom and you're in real estate and you're going to do schools and sports programs. Like that's another silo, right? And when you build out like this, what you're doing is you're putting a bunch of feelers out there and testing different content themes. But
you can rip off and duplicate, obviously, from other realtors that are doing this already and looking at what's working for them from the organic standpoint, correct?
Yes and no. Yeah, I would follow a realtor that is getting views now, right? Because that's the bigger indicator. How big was their last video? And relative to that, because you could see somebody's got 352 views and go, it's nothing. But then you recognize that that's the most they've had up until this point, right?
Right.
So growing channels are meaningful, whether they're tons of views or not. The big metric that we should be looking at right now is like, because look, here, I don't care if you're in real estate or if you throw buckets of paint off a bridge. You want people to view your content. You want people to see it. So the idea is like, how can you make your topic interesting to a larger amount of people? And this can be stuff like you could even do Omaha houses disappearing. That's interesting to people in Kansas. That's interesting to people in Dallas, perhaps. But we could even go wider. Christina Smallhorn, who follows the same silo strategy. You could look at her channel today. She gets millions of views. She's got a silo on tiny homes, like these pre-purchased, prefabbed homes. They're not mobile homes. You guys get it, right?
Yep.
Tiny homes. She now sells tiny homes all through affiliates to people all over the country, makes way more money than she did selling real estate in Louisiana. So it's like, you've got to find a content thread. Now, I'm not saying change your career. That's just kind of happened for her. What I'm saying is like, okay, you're interesting. You talk about real estate in Dallas and in New York, in Montana, right? Like, make it interesting. Maybe if you're in Montana, it's horse property.
Yep.
And the facts about horse property. Maybe you do a whole silo on sunsets. And that's like your short is you do 2 sunsets a week in Montana.
Yep.
Those viral content, are you going to get leads? That's a different kind of content.
Yep.
But you that's kind of the silo strategy.
No, I like that a lot. I want to quickly dive into what you guys are doing at your company, because you guys have got some online programs that people can use.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit more about the company that you've created in order to help people with this strategy, the books and the content that you've written and everything along those lines as well.
Yeah. Thanks for that opportunity. We do monthly workshops, and these workshops are designed for real estate professionals, financial professionals. That's a big core of who we serve. We also serve a lot of doctors, and more of these executive level sort of companies. So that's every single week, every single month. And you can check dates for that at ownvideo.com/workshop. But I highly recommend going through the workshop. We also have a higher level personal coaching program where the workshop is included as part of a much bigger package that includes personal time with me, where we build the bigger brand, right? Where we're talking about who is it that you want to be and where are you going to be in 3 years, right? Like, what is it that we're trying to build here? You get time with my team who's going to help you get your editing system down. And if you don't have editors, if you're not going to hire an editor, we're going to show you how to make videos quickly your way, right? And that's what this program does. We develop your system according to a 2-part plan. Number one, there's a 90-day launch. And this is super exciting, right? Because in 90 days, our goal is to get you to 1,000 more subscribers than you have today. And we have a very specific strategy to get there. If you have more than that, great. We'll set a higher goal, right? But we'll set a realistic goal based on what we know we've accomplished. And then after that, we achieve different goals every few months, right? So our next goal might be, we want 4 listings. So what kind of content do we need to do this month in order to get the kind of phone calls that are going to get us some listings?
Right.
One of the most powerful assets we've employed is webinars.
Yep.
We do a lot live streams, whatever you want to call them. Gathering your clients.
Where do you host those? Is that on YouTube live stream?
It's all virtual. We do have one fly-in a year. Our next fly-in is happening in spring of 2024.
Got it.
Where you can fly in and we can do it's a 2-day workshop. We're actually going to film reels. We have videographers here. It's an incredible event. But the virtual workshops are every single month, and you log in from Zoom. It's a full day. It's a full package. The coaching program is like anything. Like, you work directly with me and my team, and we've got a U.S.-based team. I run a base team. I run this with my wife. My Carlos and I have been building companies together for 5 years. He worked with Coldwell Banker before, and we love what we do. We have a program for what we do, and our machine spits out real estate deals.
Yep.
I've just got story after story of listings and buyers and leases all coming from YouTube leads. I've got one client, last thing, I got one client sells shopping malls in California, published a video 7 days, 3 days later, it's like within the week, had written a deal on a multi-million-dollar shopping mall in California, sold it from YouTube. So it's happening everywhere.
I do want to circle back because, it's certainly something that I'm curious about, the people that are building the businesses that are out there and that are successful in their stream of work, which is somebody like yourself. Your story with cancer, is there a way that we can just quickly touch on that? And if it helps somebody else out there, from just listening to the end of the episode and hearing your personal circumstance, I've found that there's a great deal of entrepreneurs that are out there from the podcast that I've done with the interviews, is that they have, incredible rituals, incredible things to learn from, but then they've also gone through tumultuous times and come out of it on top. And it sounds like you've done that as well.
Yeah, I feel like my whole life has been one of adversity. And at the end of the day, I remember that God disciplines those he loves. And so the way I see it is like, oh, God's just carving me into this superhuman, you know what I mean? Like, but I'm grateful for every minute. So I was diagnosed with stage 4 terminal cancer. The doctor said that there was no chemo that would help me. And so I had to come home and deal with that reality, made funeral plans with my wife, through tears and just anger and bitter frustration. And this was just a couple years ago. I was already like a well-known figure in the space, and I had gone through cancer before, right? I had done it before. I did chemo. The doctors are like, you're immune to it now. Like this is what happens. You do chemo and it comes back 5 years later and it ravishes your body. So I went through a mourning period for sure of like, I can't believe this is happening to me. My life is just beginning. I thought I was done with this. Little did I know that there was this whole world of metabolic therapy, of what you might call holistic therapy. But I don't like that term because it gets you into kind of the woo woo and I mean, I did real stuff. Like I'm like testing my blood levels and doing all this kind of stuff. So I began a all natural metabolic healing process that included a plant-based diet, large amounts of ketosis. I fast. I'm fasting right now. I'm like, what is it? I'm probably 12 hours fasted right now. So I'm just beginning, but I do like 18 hours intermittent fasting every day. I went to a fasting clinic in Ohio, 7 days, water only fast, medically
I
supervised.
hear that that's brutal, that 7 days.
Oh, let me tell you.
I did a 4-day fast after watching. Have you seen that? Have you seen that Chris Hemsworth series on Disney Plus where he like does these different metabolic things in his body, like cold exposure
No,
and stuff?
are you kidding
It's
me?
kind of
That sounds
cool. He does it. He does
okay.
a 4-day fast, and when I did that, and I literally, I thought I was gonna die.
You know what? I'm so glad to hear that you did it though, because I'm sure you learned a lot about
Oh,
yourself in that process,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I'm sitting there up in my room. I'm in this. I've flown. I don't know if you've ever flown to Ohio, but it's like you got to fly to Ohio and then you got to drive 8 hours to wherever it is you're going. So maybe it's not 8, but
I
So I'm
get it.
like, right? I'm in like Amishville. Like I could see like all. It's beautiful, and I'm just thinking, what happened to where my body got filled up with cancer? And now here I am away from my family doing this like intense 7-day water fast, and just really getting to think about what I wanted for the rest of my life. Because from the moment that I decided to go the holistic route, I had to believe that holistic would work for me, and you have to believe that you're going to survive. A big part of that is making future plans, right? So it's like I got a plan for 10 years because a man who doesn't plan to be here, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I went through these. In fact, we got a CT scan. I was very public. I started a YouTube channel. I started an Instagram channel. It's at Cancer Fighter Owen, and that's where I upload. That's my health and wellness channel where I upload sort of my story and like the modalities I use. I did everything. I even had, I'm in this space. I'd reach out to brands and I'd be like, hey, can you send me one of those blood meters? And, I wore a sugar NutriSense on my arm and got to see how even like blueberries affect my blood sugar. It's
Yeah.
awesome. It's like
Yeah.
eat more blueberries all the time,
Yeah.
right? So it took me 2 years of an intense work and hard, like the mental stress of my doctors did not want me doing this at all. Like they're like, you are an idiot. Like this is all like hoopy whoopy, like fancy stuff. Like 2 years, no medical intervention, cancer free in 2 years. That was just like 3-4 months ago. So in fact, I took another blood test after that. It's not cheap. Like you got to, the insurance don't cover a lot of this stuff. But I'll
Yeah.
tell you this, the cancer treatments out there. In fact, you could see my hyperbaric chamber.
Oh,
Like
there
I
it
have
is.
a
Yeah.
hyperbaric chamber in my room or my
Believe
office,
it,
right?
believe it or not, you're the second guest that I've had on with inside a month that has a hyperbaric chamber.
Look, it's my fountain of youth. Your lifespan is a collection of breaths. The more you breathe, the closer your death. Slow oxygen is secret to life. Cancer hates oxygen. I believe in longevity. I believe in the human body. Like we are just so, you know, all this time I'm building my company and I'm doing it while healing, and I'm doing it while stepping back and not doing all the busy hustle grind, Gary V up every day work. My kids know my name. In fact, my kids still call me Papa. I thought they'd be calling me Dad by now, but like there's still a closeness there. Like I volunteer at my church, like I serve at my church. You know what I mean? Like the hustle culture mentality is past.
Mm-hmm.
And we really got to get to a place where less is more. Slow down to speed up. Make great videos, make great marketing, right? Like build a brand, slow it down, learn how to talk on camera, learn how to take this showing you did last week, or like the weekend grind of putting up houses. How about fighting with Zillow?
Yeah.
How about do a video about fighting with Zillow, where you're explaining that as a real estate agent, like I'm fighting with Zillow. I'm watching Zillow, short end people and mistruths and half truths. No one keeps them accountable. So you go into these deals, you think you're getting a good deal and they're laughing at you.
Mm-hmm.
And yet my marketing videos, like it's a struggle to get them out. But here's the deal. The camera's now on you. You're like, I love real estate and I love this community. And I will do whatever it takes to serve my clients in a more human way. And that's your real, dude. Like that's your short. And all of a sudden people are like, dude, I'm calling Ben. Like I want Ben. I want Ben to be my friend and my real estate agent.
Well, hey, I just wanted to congratulate you on being cancer-free and having that scan done. And I think that, it takes an incredible individual to go through the level of change that you went through. And sometimes it does take crisis in order to make that change. But realistically, you obviously were devoted to getting it done for your kids and for your family. And congratulations on all the success, but also that indeed as well. But, and I'm going to put all the links in the show notes so that everybody can reach out to you. Thanks so much for being so open and honest today about all of your business and the YouTube side of the business and the video content side, but also your life as well. Thanks for joining us on Rethink Real Estate.
Yeah, pleasure to be here. I hope you guys will follow me Instagram at Owen Video. That's where I'm the most social. I'm the most social there. Like we get,
it's always good to know when you're looking at somebody else. It's good to know what are you looking at, what are you interacting with. Yeah, for sure.
Best way to do it. Yeah, reach out to me. Like let's be in the community together. Let's make great videos that put people in homes and stop this corporate takeover that's happening in America. Like the real estate agents serve a major job right now. Like let's go out and do a great job.
Thanks again. So about 75% of our audience hasn't liked, followed, or subscribed to our podcast. It would mean the world to us, and it would help this podcast more than you know to expand our reach if you were to like, follow, or subscribe on any of the platforms that you're watching or listening on. Thanks again.